Welcome to the Bare Metal Cyber CISSP Prepcast. This series helps you prepare for the ISC Squared CISSP exam with focused explanations and practical context. In this episode, we are focusing on two fundamental processes that form the backbone of every solid cybersecurity strategy: risk assessment and gap analysis. These are not simply check-the-box exercises. When done right, they drive real insight, shape meaningful action, and help your organization prevent, detect, and respond to threats in a timely and effective manner. For students preparing for the Certified Information Systems Security Professional exam, understanding how these two concepts work in practice is essential. Not only do they form part of the exam content, but they also reflect real-world practices you will be expected to know and apply in a professional setting. Let us begin by unpacking the concept of risk assessment. A risk assessment is the structured process of identifying, analyzing, and evaluating the risks that threaten the security, availability, and integrity of an organization's systems and data. These risks can come from a wide variety of sources: external attacks, insider threats, natural disasters, technology failures, human error, and more. The goal is not just to list risks, but to understand them deeply. This means asking what could go wrong, how likely is it to happen, what would the impact be if it did? A well-executed risk assessment takes the organization's specific risk appetite into account. This means recognizing how much risk the organization is willing to accept in different areas. For example, a financial institution might have zero tolerance for data breaches, but may accept some risk related to availability during system upgrades. Understanding this context helps shape the response to each risk. Conducting risk assessments regularly ensures that you stay ahead of emerging threats. The security landscape is constantly shifting, and what was a low-priority risk last year could become a high-priority one today. Threat actors adapt, technologies change, and business priorities evolve. Regular assessments allow your organization to stay current and focused on what matters most. Risk assessments also drive informed decision-making. When security leaders understand the risks they face, they can make better decisions about how to allocate resources, which controls to implement, and where to focus remediation efforts. It is a way to bring clarity to complexity and to ensure that your cybersecurity investments are aligned with the most critical threats and vulnerabilities. Now let us walk through the basic steps for conducting a thorough risk assessment. The first step is to identify what you are trying to protect. This includes defining the scope of the assessment and listing out the critical assets, such as customer databases, intellectual property, servers, applications, and communication channels. Anything that holds business value or could be exploited by an attacker should be considered. Next, you identify the threats and vulnerabilities associated with those assets. Threats might include unauthorized access, malware infections, denial of service attacks, or physical theft. Vulnerabilities are weaknesses that could allow those threats to succeed. This might include unpatched software, misconfigured systems, weak authentication, or a lack of proper encryption. Then you evaluate each risk by estimating its likelihood and its potential impact. This can be done qualitatively, using categories like low, medium, or high, or quantitatively, assigning numerical values to each factor. Likelihood reflects how probable it is that a threat will exploit a vulnerability. Impact reflects the damage that would result if it did. Once you have evaluated the risks, you prioritize them. High impact, high likelihood risks go to the top of the list. Lower risks may still need attention, but might be addressed later or accepted if the cost of mitigation outweighs the benefit. The final step is to document your findings, propose mitigation strategies, and present the results to decision makers. This process should be repeated regularly and updated whenever there are changes in the threat landscape, new technology deployments, or shifts in business operations. Now that we have explored risk assessments, let us shift our focus to gap analysis. Gap analysis is the process of identifying the difference between where you are now and where you want to be or need to be. In a cybersecurity context, this typically means comparing your current security posture to a set of standards, policies, regulations, or best practices. For example, a gap analysis might assess how well your organization aligns with a standard, like the NIST Cybersecurity Framework or the ISO 27001 controls. It might also compare internal security practices to legal requirements, like the General Data Protection Regulation, or industry-specific mandates, like the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. Gap analysis is important because it gives you visibility. It shows you what controls are missing, which policies are outdated, and where compliance issues may exist. It reveals areas of weakness and helps target improvement efforts where they are needed most. Without this clarity, it is easy to waste time and resources fixing problems that may not be the highest priority. When done effectively, a gap analysis supports proactive remediation. It allows organizations to fix small issues before they become big problems, and helps ensure that security programs are aligned with business goals and compliance needs. Early identification of gaps can significantly reduce risk exposure and strengthen the overall security posture. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other podcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Let us now explore how to implement effective risk assessments and gap analyses in a professional environment. Start by defining your methodologies. Clearly document how assessments and analyses will be conducted, including the criteria used to evaluate risks and identify gaps. This documentation ensures consistency and provides a basis for future reviews and audits. Next, choose the right framework or methodology to guide your efforts. Commonly used standards include NIST, Special Publication 830, ISO 27005, and the FAIR methodology. These frameworks offer structured approaches for identifying risks, measuring impact, and calculating likelihood. They also help standardize the way gaps are discovered and prioritized. Involve stakeholders from across the organization. Risk and gap assessments are not just the responsibility of the security team. Input is needed from legal, compliance, human resources, finance, and other departments to get a complete picture. Each area may have unique insights into threats, vulnerabilities, and compliance requirements. Where possible, use automated tools to streamline the process. Risk management platforms, compliance tracking systems, and audit support tools can all help gather data, prioritize risks, and highlight control gaps. Automation allows assessments to scale with the organization and reduces the chance of human error. Reporting is also critical. Findings should be shared with senior leadership in a clear and actionable format. Include key risks, identified gaps, recommended actions, and timelines for remediation. These reports support accountability and ensure that security remains a priority at all levels of the organization. Security controls also support risk and gap analysis. Monitoring and logging tools collect the data that assessments rely on. Threat intelligence platforms inform analysts about emerging risks. Vulnerability scanners and penetration testing tools uncover technical weaknesses. All of these inputs contribute to more accurate and effective evaluation. The storage and communication of assessment results must also be secure. Reports often contain sensitive information about vulnerabilities and organizational weaknesses. Make sure these documents are encrypted, access is restricted, and backups are maintained. Consider who needs to know what and ensure that communication is handled responsibly. Advanced analytics can help prioritize and visualize risk and gap data. Dashboards can show how risks are distributed across departments, where gaps are most common, and how incident trends align with uncovered vulnerabilities. Visualization tools make this information easier to understand and easier to act upon. Incident response plays a role too. Risks and gaps uncovered during assessments must feed into response planning. If a high-priority risk is identified, the organization must be ready to respond quickly. Controls must be in place to detect, contain, and remediate any issues that arise. The integration between assessment, analysis, and response is what gives these processes their real power. As always, continuous improvement must be part of your strategy. Risk assessments and gap analyses are not one-time events. They must be repeated, refined, and updated on a regular basis. Lessons from past incidents, audit findings, and internal reviews should all feed into better practices. The more experience your organization gains, the more efficient and accurate these processes will become. Cross-functional collaboration ensures that risk and gap management is applied consistently. From the executive suite to frontline employees, everyone must understand their role in identifying and managing risk. Security is a team effort, and the more integrated your processes are, the more effective they will be. Regular training helps maintain awareness. Staff must know how to recognize risks, report concerns, and follow through on remediation plans. Training ensures that risk and gap responsibilities are taken seriously and executed effectively across the organization. Thank you for tuning into the CISSP Prepcast by Bare Metal Cyber. Visit baremetalcyber.com for additional episodes, comprehensive CISSP study resources, and personalized certification support. Strengthen your understanding of risk assessment and gap analysis, and we'll consistently support your journey towards CISSP certification success.